As the cliche goes, April showers bring May flowers. But usually what comes after is the heat and dryness of summer. Hello again, Essay here. And before the hot weather of the holiday shows up, you should indulge in my new short story, The White Cat, a free exclusive on Substack. The links are down below in description. Join Margot Thompson, a beautiful stage actress and recent widow who finds salvation in the form of a white cat during a night of terror. While checking out my oddball thriller, remember that my Glitch series is still available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. The links are down below in the description. While you'll find my peculiar story about a white pussy entertaining, that doesn't mean I'm out of ideas. I still have more stories coming down the pike, so as long as I don't run into any mishaps, you'll see those stories as well. Now let's get back to the video.
I think you'll find this room more comfortable, Mister.
Thank you.
I have a reservation. Double room and bath, today through Thursday.
In what name, please?
Green, Philip Green.
Yes, Mr. Green.
My wife will be here tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
Now, one more thing.
Yes?
Is your hotel restricted?
Well, I'd hardly say it was restricted.
Then it's not restricted.
Would you excuse me a moment, please?
How do you do, Mr. Green?
How do you do?
In answer to your question, may I inquire, are you, do you follow the Hebrew religion yourself? Or is it that you just want to make sure?
I've asked a simple question. I'd like to have a simple answer.
Well, you see, we do have a very high-class clientele, and, well, naturally.
Then you do restrict your guests to Gentiles.
Well, I wouldn't say that, Mr. Green. But in any event, there seems to be some mistake, because we don't have a free room in the entire hotel. But if you'd like, perhaps I can fix you up at the Brewster Hotel down near the station.
I'm not staying at the Brewster. Look, I'm Jewish, and you don't take Jews. That's it, isn't it?
I never said that.
If you don't accept Jews, say so.
Don't raise your voice to me, Mr. Green. You speak a little more quietly, please.
Do you or don't you?
Mr. Green, I'm a very busy man. Now, if you want me to phone for a cab or a room at the Brewster, I'll do so. Otherwise...
Otherwise what?
Hello again, Essay here. If you have ever heard of the Wandering Jew, then I don't have to explain it to you. But for those of you who don't know what that means, it's an ancient myth, primarily from the Middle Ages in Europe. It supposedly is a metaphor where it supposedly proclaims that a Jewish person denounced Jesus on his way to his crucifixion, and for that he was cursed to never die and to wander the earth, never having a home until the second coming. And indeed, as I said, it was a metaphor for the larger Jewish community, because at this time they didn't have, when that thing was first written, they didn't have a home. Indeed, they kind of wandered from place to place. Sometimes they would lay down roots, like say in Spain during the time of the Moors. But then when the Castilians showed up, Ferdinand and Isabella, they got kicked out and ended up later in in the Ottoman Turkish Empire, which I'm not going to get into. And of course, other Jews ended up in other places, all over Europe primarily. But of course, they were not having a fun time at all. Indeed, in places like Russia and Poland, they were definitely second-class citizens. So much so that in Russia, a bunch of people who had no use for Jews wrote the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. And of course, if you've heard of that, I don't have to explain it to you. But for those who never heard of it, it was basically a conspiracy theory written large, where it claimed that, amongst other things, that Jews were taking the babies of non-Jewish and sacrificing them to a non-theistic entity. And of course, right now you say that sounds like bonkers. Yeah. And yet a lot of people believed it. And indeed, even though the people who wrote that are long dead, that piece of propaganda is still floating around today. So there you go. But of course, that wasn't the only thing that the Russians did to the damn Jews. They had pogroms, lots of them. No joke. Indeed, that was probably one reason that a lot of Jews later joined the Soviet Communist Party that overthrew the Tsarist regime. Like Trotsky, for example. Yeah. The guy may have been a communist, but he was born Jewish. And he wasn't the only one. But then, of course, as we all know, after the Second World War, the Jews finally did have find a place to lay their weary head, to put it nicely, in the Middle East. Unfortunately, it didn't quite turn out all candy canes and rainbows. Nope. Indeed, the brand new United Nations that basically pushed through the partition of the old British mandate in Palestine, they basically screwed it up. No joke. Why? I don't rightly know. But when you look at, say, what the British did during the partition of India, they did a much better job. Now, of course, some of you who are familiar with that history say, oh, but a whole bunch of people got killed. True, true. But in the end, when the smoke cleared, you had two separate countries. You had Pakistan and you had India. And, of course, East Pakistan, which later became Bangladesh, which I'm not going to get into. But unfortunately, that wasn't done in the Middle East. Nope. These people pushed through that partition and then left the people who lived there to their own devices. No wet nursing of any kind. And before you could say, holy dog shit, yep, the shit hit the fan in spades. And all you've had there ever since is chaos, anarchy, mayhem, and so much bloodletting. It's unbelievable. And after almost 80 plus years, it's not getting any better. Indeed, it's getting worse. Because right now, as we speak, there's a new tumult going on right now between the people in Tel Aviv, the people up there in Beirut, the people way over there in Sana, and then finally, of course, the big bad voodoo daddies over there in Tehran. Yeah. Talking about everyone's pulled out their long knives, and no, they're not about to start carving up the Thanksgiving dinner either. No joke. But anyway, this video is not so much about the history of Jews or even current events in the Middle East. Nope. This video is about something that happened recently here in this country. Now, Tim Pool, he has a video, and you have to see it for yourself. Okay, are you ready? Here we go.
We got a wild video. This video is going massively viral. It shows a guy who is Jewish going into a coffee shop, ordering a coffee, and then being told he has to leave because he's Jewish. And I'm not exaggerating. It is kind of wild that we got to this point. But you know what, man? You're not going to take my word for it. You can listen to exactly what these people say. This dude comes out saying, no, I love Jewish people. But you're a Zionist. I'll give you the quick version of the story before we play the video. The story goes that a guy was with his kid. He's wearing a black hat that has a Star of David on it. That's it. It's not an Israeli flag or anything like that. He went in, ordered a coffee, sat down, was playing chess with his kid, waiting for his drink, when someone came up to him and told him he had to leave. And he said, who are you? Then someone said, they asked him if he was a Zionist and told him he was trespassing. They call the cops on him. Dude, you can't kick people out of a business based on protected class. I'm going to play this video for you, and then we'll go through it. It says, on Saturday, October 26, a Jewish man and his son were directed across the street to Jerusalem Coffee while looking for a restroom and a place to grab coffee. It's also called Jerusalem Coffee House.
So you're saying I can't leave where I can't eat here wearing a Jewish star?
After purchasing drinks and sitting down, the owner confronted the man over the Star of David on his hat, asking him if he was a Zionist and saying he needed to leave.
Excuse me, do you work here?
So that guy we just saw just walks up to him and says, you gotta go. And this guy doesn't even know if he works there or not.
Does that gentleman work here? Do you work here?
You're causing a disruption. I'm gonna call the police if you don't leave.
Please call the police. I'm not causing a disruption.
You need to leave.
Do you work
You need
here?
to leave. You need to leave.
Sir,
You need.
The man was wearing a hat he had owned for years, a vintage 1938 Hebrew orphan asylum baseball cap to celebrate his Jewish heritage.
Private
do you
business.
see
You
this
need to
gentleman
leave.
right now? What, do you see the way
This is
he's
a private business. Do you know what a private business means? You need to leave.
I don't need to leave because
This
you
is
came
a
up to
private
me.
business. You're being asked to leave.
Wow.
You want me to escort you out?
Please stop.
You want me to
screaming
escort you out?
Please stop
Leave
screaming
my
in
business.
front of my son.
Get out of my
Please
business.
stop screaming.
Get out of my business.
Is it his business?
This is
You
a
told me
business.
you
You
were
need
the
to
owner.
leave.
He
So
owns
you're
the
being asked to
cafe.
leave. You're being asked to
Hold
leave.
on, please.
You're being asked to leave.
Hold on, please. This gentleman asked me to leave because of my hat.
You're being. This is a violent hat, and you need to leave.
He just said it. This is a violent hat and you need to leave.
My hat is
Yeah,
a
it's violent. It's violent.
I'm
You need
sorry.
to leave.
This man can.
Boom, there it is right there. Look, I'm with this dude. He shouldn't leave. I respect what he did. I'm fairly libertarian, but I am not a staunch laissez-faire libertarian, okay? I know a lot of people say if someone wants to kick you out of the business, it's their business. I don't agree with that. I don't agree that some lunatic can come up to you for no reason other than they don't like you have a hat on that represents a religion and throw you out. I do think, right to refuse service to a certain degree, but here's my view, and it's always been this, and I maintain this. I'm fairly liberal. I believe that if you're operating a business in the public commons that utilizes our infrastructure, our fire departments, our police, etc., I pay taxes for these things. I have paid for access to a public accommodation. If I'm a reasonable person, I'm causing no disruptions, then I think I should be allowed to use this establishment. Now, there are challenges here. What constitutes a protected class? Well, religion is one of them. Political ideology is not, though I still believe the average person, I believe, should be allowed to utilize a business so long as they're being reasonable, non-disruptive, etc. There's questions where you draw the line, and I don't know if there's a really good answer, seriously. But in this regard, right now, these are leftists who try to enforce this civil rights law, but use it against a guy for simply being Jewish. He is not wearing an Israeli hat. He is wearing a Star of David.
not ask me to leave because
Yeah, I can. It's my business, bro.
Yeah, I can. It's my business.
It's my business.
You can't refuse
Yeah, I can.
someone.
You can refuse service. I can. Yes, I
You
can.
can't refuse service
Yes,
for a
I can.
protected class, and he's asking me
what
to leave
protected
because of a
class?
Magen David Dome, which is a
need to leave.
Magen David, which is a Jewish star.
Magen David, a Jewish star. You can't ask me to leave because of my religion.
He can't ask
need
me
to
to leave
leave.
because of my religion. He can't ask
Oh, you see it? He realized it.
I'm asking you to leave because of that.
Yes,
Oh, and then I'm not asking you to leave because of that. Too late, bro. You're on camera saying it's a violent hat. You could see the look in his face when he realized, oh, crap, that's a violation of civil rights law by your own standard.
you are. You said
Are you a
my-
Zionist?
You said.
Are you a Zionist?
I don't have to identify
Leave.
myself
Then
by
get
my
out.
religion.
Are you a Zionist?
Back away from me.
Get out.
Yes, he does if he's asking me to leave based on a protected class. Are you really, like, I'm sitting here quiet. We were sitting here quietly playing, I don't, you're wrong, call the police. I don't, they're wrong, call the police. You're gonna have a lawsuit. I don't.
He's right. I hope this dude sues for everything.
Yeah, I'll call the cops on you, bro.
Do it.
Do it.
Even though it's against my ethos.
Oh, here we go. It's a defund the police guy calling the cops. Here it is.
Do it, call the cops.
Because he saw a Star David in his cafe.
We were across the street at Casper's. I asked them if they made coffee and had a bathroom. They said, across the street. We came across the street. I ordered a coffee from that gentleman. I used the bathroom. While he was making the coffee, my son and I sat down to play chess. And then while the drink was coming, he came up to me and said, because of my hat, I need to leave. This other guy. I said, do you work here? I don't even know you. This other man served me my food. He didn't tell me there was any problem.
You've walked into an establishment
That what, doesn't allow
owned
Jews?
and run by Palestinians,
Run by Palestinians.
So, that doesn't allow Jews?
and it's they may not. They may,
You hear this lady saying they may not.
Not? They may not allow Jews.
and if they may not, that's not on us.
It is illegal in these liberal jurisdictions. The rules y'all have set.
And it's not on you.
It absolutely is. You can't deny service to Jews.
You can't.
He's told me to.
Wrong. Public accommodation includes being able to sit in the establishment and play chess. If it is available to the public, it must be available to everyone in the public, regardless of their religion. And race and gender, etc.
Get out. You called my drink out.
They could try and say something like we routinely enforce a 30-minute sitting period for people to enjoy their drinks before they got to leave. And then they can probably say it's been 30 minutes. Now we ask people, usually time limit, right? That's something people do.
And I took my son to the bathroom while we were finishing our game of chess.
You obviously came in here. You knew where you were at. You knew
He
where
may
you
not
came
have.
into.
He may not have. This may be an entirely innocent situation.
These people are psychopaths. This is the United States, okay? If a guy is walking around ordering coffee, who cares if he's a Zionist or whatever? You serve him his drink, you say, thank you, have a nice day. Now, I can certainly respect there are certain things that will probably cross the line for us and the social fabric. If a guy walked in Klan robes, you might be like, buddy, you ain't wearing that in here, okay? And that's questionable too. It is. Because if we're going to make the argument, so long as you're not disruptive, you can have something to drink, I still think it's fair to say we draw the line at a certain point. This country used to have obscenity laws. We used to say, don't swear in public. It's rude. It's wrong. We didn't stand for it. But we have free speech. So now I think it's fair. If you go to my business and you're saying nasty things and I see it's disruptive, please, you need to go. If you're wearing a hat like on Delta or whatever, on the airlines, when they're wearing Trump stuff and they say, we have a dress code, you agree to a dress code, you agree when you buy the ticket. This, however, is a guy who's simply Jewish. Now, by all means, make the argument. Please do. Comment below that you think we shouldn't have these protected classes. And I'll say, okay, at the very least, leftists who try to enforce these rules and are the ones who push that should not be given any leeway when they try to violate the laws they have advocated for.
Okay, you saw that. Now, of course, some of you who have a conscience and who knows what's different between right and wrong knows that that video showed something that should not be happening. Not in the present day. Now, of course, BS like that has happened before here in America, 100 years ago, 200 years ago. But the people who run this country, they made a decision primarily long ago. And they said that we're not going to be like the people in Europe, where they basically have pogroms and all sorts of really bad propaganda against ethnic minorities. You know, like the gypsies, for example. Yeah, they're not having a fun time in Europe either, for example. And therefore, we passed a bunch of laws, rules, regulations to basically stamp that kind of behavior out, to make our country a more perfect union. Now, of course, some of you are saying right now, hey, you don't expect perfection from imperfect beings. Yep, I agree. You don't have to say it twice. But while we may not be able to make heaven on earth a utopian civilization, we can at least strive to make sure it doesn't, backslide into the dark abyss. No joke. Now, of course, some of you might say, well, that sounds like something that old Harris and her minions would say. True. But guess what? When they say we're not going back, let's just say this. They're not referring to the bad old history of America. Nope. When they say that, they're talking to something that's nebulous and ill-defined. Indeed, most of those people, those wokesters, when they say stuff like that, we're not going back, let's just say this. Their ignorance walks hand in hand with their passion. In other words, if you sat down those people and interrogated them about what you mean by we're not going back, guess what? They couldn't give you a straight answer to save their lives, because they don't know what it means. It's just a slogan to them. Period. An empty slogan. Sort of like Harris. In other words, she's got nothing in her pockets and she's got nothing up here. And her minions, same thing. And indeed, as you saw in that video, that person who ran that coffee shop, they clearly were triggered by that Jewish guy's hat with the Star of David. Now, why? He clearly, obviously hates Jews. Now, some of you probably say, oh, he's probably someone who's been triggered by all those TikTok videos about all that mayhem happening in the Middle East right now. I'm thinking, true. But guess what? That's no excuse. That's no excuse. Because the last time I checked, that guy who was in that coffee shop wasn't the Prime Minister of Israel. Okay? Because anyone who knows Netanyahu knows that the guy is a scumbag. I mean, even his own people know that. That's why they've been trying to vote him out for years. Problem is, their want to can't keep up what they can do. And in the meantime, that guy's running around trying to set the entire Middle East on fire. Like there's no tomorrow. But regardless of what's going on right now out there, that's no excuse for the guy running that coffee shop to throw some guy out of his business because he thinks that the guy is somehow working for Netanyahu or somehow affiliate with the Israeli military. I mean, that's no excuse. Indeed, if you saw in Tim Pool's video, I think this guy basically is one of those kind of a-holes. Yeah, that's right. Who just has that as part of their psychological makeup. And therefore, they really don't need an excuse. In other words, if all that mess that's happening right now in the Middle East had never occurred, and this fella with his little hat had walked into that guy's business, he likely would have kicked him out anyway. So there you go. But still, that kind of behavior cannot be tolerated in these United States. Nope. No how, no way. Because if we tolerate that today, tomorrow, you'll likely have some fool who wants to bring back separate and unequal laws. Remember what was going on during Board of Education? Yeah. Or bring back those old codicil laws, restricting where people can live depending on their ethnicity. Or those miscegenation laws, which basically restricted who you could marry. And of course the big one, Jim Crow, which basically took people's rights away from them because they happen to be of the wrong ethnicity. Now, of course, some of you are probably saying, oh, you're just being hyperbolic. Am I? Am I? Because if you tolerate injustice today, that opens the door for injustice tomorrow and the day after that. No joke. And believe me, many, many people have fought and then sometimes died that way, that this country wouldn't be basically a carbon copy of, say, Tsarist Russia or Spain under Isabella and Ferdinand. Nope. We can't tolerate that kind of bullshit here. Now, of course, as you saw in Tim's video, he said that guy should sue that clown for violating his civil rights. And I say, yeah, double plus good. In fact, if I was a lawyer, I would take that man's case up pro bono. No bullshit. Because, like I said, we can't tolerate that kind of crap here in the United States. And of course, some of you are probably saying, but they're tolerating that crap right now with DEI and critical theory. And basically banning people based on their ethnicity. Yep. And as you saw in Tim's video, that clown who threw the Jewish guy out of his business, I would not be surprised if he's one of those crazy wokesters who, as far as they're concerned, they tolerate racial bigotry and racial animus because in their pretzel logic, they think it's a good thing as long as the right people are being discriminated against. You know what I mean? Problem is, a couple hundred years ago, you had similar people with the very same thinking, saying that, yeah, racial discrimination, ethnic discrimination, discrimination against people, certain religious backgrounds, Jews, Catholics, whatever, was a good thing. Because those people who were being discriminated against were the right people to be discriminated against. You get it? So, no. We can't go back. Not to that bullshit. No how, no way, never ever. Period. Well, that's all I gotta say about that BS happening out there in Oakland, California. And hopefully that clown will get sued into the poorhouse for what he did to that man. violating his human rights the way he did. Well, that's all I gotta say about that bullshit. That's my opinion.